Good evening, YouTube. How are you this evening? I am pretty good. It is about 7:30 on Sunday evening, and today was the first day of MIT training for me. MIT stands for Maverick Instructor Training. It is a 4.5, 5-day course that all road instructors are required to take. It's really different than what I thought it would be. So over the next 4 or 5 days, blogs, I will talk about each day's material and what has gone over to give those people out there who are coming to Maverick and those drivers who are thinking of becoming a road trainer what to expect from this class. This class really is about teaching the road instructors how to instruct and give them the tools to instruct students as they come on to the trucks for their training time. Today was pretty much all about agenda and the program of itself, as well as how the Maverick training program works. I'll have to say this much: I learned even more, even though I spent 2.5, almost 3 months inside the center itself. There were things that I was not exposed to when I was teaching, and now that I'm going through this instructor class, that I'm learning. Basically, it's a kind of a 8 to 5 day. It's not as intense as far as time-wise that orientation and hands-on training is. So I'll kind of just kick off day to day about what we went over and talk a little bit about each subject as the days go on. So these videos, like the orientation videos, may tend to be a little bit long. We started off at 8 a.m. this morning. We did not get breakfast. Apparently our breakfast is included in the hotel stay. Now, I'm not staying in the hotel, but I have food in my own truck, and I kind of limit what I eat for breakfast now because of my weight problems. And so that was not really a big deal for me. There was leftovers, and I was offered by one of the hands-on instructors to go ahead and eat after everybody else had eaten, but I changed my mind and I decided not to. As we got to the classroom, which is led by Kurt Valkovic, he doesn't like titles, but basically he is the director of training, and he manages the entire training facility. Everybody, the entire staff who are partners with him inside the training facility to bring through orientation and instructor and hands-on, basically report to him. Though he's the first to tell you, and I would agree, that everybody in the building is on equal footing, because a lot of things are debated and voted upon when things come up. Though he has the ultimate accountability for the program, and that includes road instructors. We got to welcome, and they did introductions. There are 10 people in my class. I'm not sure if that's a high number or a low number. When I was working in the hands-on building, I only saw 5 or 6 tops in each of the MIT classes, but apparently there have been classes as big as 14. I really don't know. Their goal is to have 150 road trainers. This will put them close to it, not quite, because guys come, guys go. Guys, they either decide they don't want to train anymore, or they decide to move on to other pursuits. After the introductions individually as well as from Kurt, we also got to meet Randall Harmon, who is a long-time Maverick trainer, years and years, and he is our mentor for this particular class. He's a really nice guy. He's got a lot of experience and a lot under his belt, and I look forward to working with him. After that, we moved on to the organization of itself and the responsibilities. Basically, we went over the organizational chart of how the training facility is broken down. Of course, Kurt is at the top, and then there's the logistics department that handles all of the actual training path, from coming in to getting into orientation, to going through hands-on, to going out with road trainers to coming back and doing final evaluations. And then there's the actual training staff or instructor staff, which handles the actual orientation materials. And then on the hands-on side, each of the hands-on sections, whether it's flatbed, glass, TCD, or what's called flex, which is a part of all that, as well as other positions within the department, such as our mobile training division and things like that. Once that was done, we started going over information that we are going to need to know and how the Maverick tracks every person that comes through the training department. When you come to Maverick, from the first day you report, well, actually before you report through your orientation, your hands-on business unit training, and your road training, and then up to a year after you've officially accepted your job offer, you're tracked on everything that goes on, any kind of training, whether it be for whatever business unit or specialized or whatever else. It's all tracked. And we learned about that. We learned about the flow. Some of it was old hat for me because I sat through so many staff meetings and dealt with all these things already. But even more information was given that I never saw, and it was really, really good stuff. I knew that Maverick tracked a lot of metrics and a lot of training information. I was really not privy to how much, but it is a massive amount. And as Kurt put, it's really put together so we as road trainers have a good picture of the people that are coming into our trucks. And that's a good thing, because when it comes down to it, when we find out who we're going to get as a student at any given time, we can always call in and say, could you please let us know how this particular person did coming through orientation and training, and they'll be able to tell us everything from how well he did academically to how well he did in hands-on and the eval for the business unit, as well as any disciplinary or challenge related issues that they had with the person, that kind of thing. We also took a little bit of time to talk about the computerized driver training system, which I've already talked about before, but the back end of it, how some of that is organized, how some of it works. We're even using it in MIT we don't really have any evaluations, but we do have certain steps and things we have to check off as we go along, and even that is tracked in the training system for metrics and everything else. Maverick is a very number-centric and statistics-centric company when it comes to certain things, many things, because the numbers and trends tell a lot about drivers, how the company's doing, so forth and so on. It is universally accepted, and I totally agree that Maverick has probably one of the best, if not the best, end-to-end training programs of any transportation company out there. After that, we went to lunch, and then we came back and talked some more about those kinds of things. Driver plans, how students are dealt with when it comes to working through challenges and going through the program, and what to expect when we get them on the truck. We also talked a little bit about the final eval process that the students go through, that we are involved in, what's expected of us, just in a real overview of how we are going to prepare them to come in, because it comes down to a couple different things. Maverick is very accountability centric, especially within the training program. Ultimately, Kurt is accountable for everything that happens under the training umbrella, and that accountability stretches all the way down. For me and other road trainers, we are accountable for what we teach, as well as what the student learns while they're on the truck with us. There are certain things that they're going to have to be able to accomplish. The biggest thing is that before they could come off the truck, is they must be able to run that truck like it's their own, without any prompting. And we talked about how to get to that process, and we're going to be doing more of that as the week goes on, with lesson plan ideas, program ideas, how long, and so forth and so on. Many people have said, well, Maverick just has a 21-day training program. Well, while they're on the truck, that is not true. The on the road program is generally about 5 weeks, and Some guys get off early, some guys get off later. Many of those that come through, in 21 days generally don't last as long as those that stayed the full 4 or 5 weeks or until they were ready to get off. Certainly, yes, there are people that get into this industry and are naturals and can fly through the program and get off the truck with flying colors and come in and be extremely successful in their final evals and then go on to have a successful career with the company. I'm not pulling any attaboys or anything, but when I first got into this industry as a student, and that was 10 years ago, I was on the truck 4 days before my road trainer, who was a really great guy, and he really knew what he was doing. He had over 35 years of driving experience and more than 10 years of teaching experience, told me after the 4th or 5th day that I was a natural driver and I had really good planning skills. Well, that's true. I've driven everywhere all my life, and I'm so OCD about not getting lost and knowing where I'm going that it all kind of came naturally. Not everybody has that ability, and not everybody's even going to be remotely close to that. So we learned about how to talk to the students about that and for them to expect over the course of time. And then we recapped for the day, and then we were assigned homework. And homework, it was 2 different things. A lot of this course, from what I understand and what we were told, is really going to be about personality and decision making, and learning how to communicate and deal with a student. Everybody's different. Everybody has different learning challenges, and everybody functions differently, whether they're very independent, whether they need a lot of hand-holding, or anything in between, and so many other things. This course will deal a lot with conflict resolution, getting ahead of it, and also the most important thing we were told is that we're going to learn more about ourselves, which is always a good thing. We talked throughout the day about several subjects. I'm going to kind of refer to my notes here. Like I said, we talked about the internal team, accountability. The accountability of training is really important because in reality, the 2 most important areas that Maverick is subject to being found negligent in is training and hiring practices and training practices. And it's there's a lot that goes into getting hired on here, even getting invited to orientation. And then the training is very intensive, and all the trainers and everybody in the facility, in the process, in the pipeline, try to get students to a certain level and make sure that they're there before they're ever released to go to a truck. So when they come off the truck, if they've been trained properly, they're at this level, which is what Maverick wants and what's required, especially at this day and age with the industry the way it is, and the way people love to just find fault and sue for every little thing if they can. So everything that we're going through now is to help with that process, to minimize Maverick's exposure to problems when they occur. Because in reality, and I've said this from day one, because this is what I've been taught since day one, is that if you do things the way Maverick has instructed you to do it, and you've agreed to do it that way, if there's a problem and you did it the Maverick way, Maverick will stand behind you 100%. But if you deviated from what Maverick instructed you, then you're kind of sort of on your own. It's just the way it is. We also learned about the types of people we can train. Since I'm in the flatbed business unit, I can train flatbed drivers, glass drivers. I could also choose to train TCD drivers. However, if I choose to train TCD drivers, I have to understand that they cannot help me with my job. When I'm on site doing securement and tarping, they're not trained to do those things, so they would just have to sit in the truck or maybe stand outside and watch. I have yet to decide whether I'm going to opt to train TCD. I probably will not, because I like to teach not just the truck management and driving skills and things like that, but I really like to teach the hands-on and the tarping and make sure that those skills that I've learned are passed on properly. I talked about already about 5 weeks. Basic 3 weeks is the minimum, but 4 to 5 is the average. And of course, we talked more about the accountability. That's probably something that's going to come up a lot over the next 5 blogs or so. So for homework tonight, I already knew the answer to this, but we have to research a particular type of issue. It's called it's FMCSR 391, driver requirements to be able to hold a valid commercial driver's license. Not to really give anything away, but Maverick does term on that if you don't meet those requirements as outlined in the FMCSR, and they're not that strict. They're really not that strict, but you can look them up. I don't want to give them away here as spoilers, I guess. The other thing, homework is comfort zone discussion. This is the beginning of our get to know ourselves, or get to our emotional side. We're to outline there's 4 stages of comfort zones. There's stage 1, zone 1, 2, 3, and 4. And zone 1 is when you're in your ultimate happy place. Ultimate happy place. And we're supposed to list 4 things that put us in that ultimate happy place. That's zone 1. And then zone 4, which is the outside of our comfort zone, we need to list 4 things that completely put us outside of our comfort zone. And I have already done this part of it anyway. I'll be frankly honest. I know what sets me off and makes me uncomfortable, and those are personality quirks of my own that stem from years in the military and in law enforcement and in environments where the boss is the boss, and you have to do what you're told, or you're out of here. As far as what puts me in my happy place, it's kind of a hard thing to decide, because I'll be frankly honest. I've never really, well, I can't say that. There are times I'm really happy, but there's nothing that keeps me in that place. It's moments and things and ideas that happen that make me happy. But I don't have a refuge. A lot of people have a refuge that says, if I'm doing this, I'm always happy. There is one thing that I can say that if I'm doing, I am happy no matter what it is, and that's when I'm hiking and camping. Hunting is good too, but hiking and camping, high adventure type stuff like the Philmont Scout Ranch and things like that. Those things make me, when I have no cares in the world but the nature and the outdoors, in the environment that I choose to use it in, that puts me in my happy place. I'm not going to talk about all my things, but one of the things that really does put me outside my comfort zone is high conflict, where people are overly confrontational. And I'll have to say this, I know that's kind of weird to say, because I can be a bit gruff and abrasive, and I think it's because I don't like being challenged in a confrontational nature. Sometimes people will say something to me that I will take as challenging, and they're not challenging, but the way my mentality works from years and years in the military and in law enforcement, I take it as challenging, even though it's not meant to be. It's one of the many things that I have to work on to make myself a better instructor and to be able to get along with the way things are. I do know that when I was in the training bays earlier this summer, that was one of my biggest challenges, was trying to overcome the tendency to not take every question about something that was being taught as a challenge, as opposed to a teachable moment. So that's it. We have to do the homework and have it ready for in the morning. I do want to say one thing before I cut off, because this video is already long. One of the quotes that was brought up today was a really good one, and I had never heard it before, and I posted it to the Facebook page not long after it was given to us. It is, working hard for something we don't care about is called stress. Working hard for something we love is called passion. And that's Simon Sinek. And that's quite true. If you're doing a job that you don't really like or you don't care for and it causes you a lot of stress, then you shouldn't be doing that job. But if you're doing a job that gives you a lot of pleasure and that gives you passion, then you're doing the right job for yourself. I'm doing the right job for me because it is a passion for trucking and teaching, quality teaching. I do love to do it. Not quite a passion yet, but it's getting there. So that's it. Until tomorrow, we'll have some more. So keep the shiny side up. 73s. Good night.